Alrighty then, everyone, it is Dokkan time, and today we are going to do a how to build for the, what is his full name? Oh, just Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta. Alright. I thought he had some, like, extended name because of the Super Saiyan 3 Goku, but I guess not. He's just Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta, buying time for Goku. So he is finally awakened, or EZA awakened. I have to say, it's been a long time coming. This dude has missed several moments where his EZA would be very good time frame. In all honesty, I am both impressed but not impressed with this guy. He can be very good on a very specific team, but I will have to tell you that if you do not run this guy on a very specific team, you are not going to have a good time with him. If you have him at 55%, you're going to struggle. This is a unit that does need dupes, and he does need to be run a specific way in order to really see anything out of him, really. So, I will say he does have a very good high peak after you use his active skill and with proper support and on a proper team, but he also has very low lows when not using his active, with less than rainbow, and with less than ideal situations. With all that being said, we're just going to go ahead and start off with the breakdown of the unit, and then we will go over his defense, his builds, and then his roles. So, as far as his leaders go, his leaders are going to look a little bit like he has options, but he doesn't. This Vegeta has to be run specifically with a Majin Buu Saga Goku. And unfortunately, as of the time of recording, there is only so many good options that you can utilize with this Vegeta. And namely, the only ones that even, like, come to mind are going to be all Super Saiyan 3 Gokus. So what that basically means is that you're lacking links, and you're forcing Vegeta into situations where it doesn't necessarily help everyone else on the team, and it just kind of helps him. But with that being said, his best leader options are going to be Super Saiyan 3 Goku, Gotenks, and then I will give only one other suggestion for a leader, and that is going to be the Super Saiyan Trio. And the only reason I suggest the Super Saiyan Trio is because of the potential support of the team with loads of options with units with domain, their excessive increase of defense for allies, Bulma support options. They just have a lot of options to make up for the lack of a Majin Buu Saga Goku, which can definitely happen. It's not that you can't put this Vegeta on any of these other leaders, or even 170s. It's just that he's going to be lacking excessively otherwise. So, with that being said, let's move down to his leader skill. He's actually now a P+4 170 worthy rivals leader. I think he is actually the most ideal current worthy rivals leader, which is very weird. He has greatly raised defense on his 12 key super. On his 18 key super, he raises attack and defense for 1 turn. And then on his unit super, he massively stacks attack, supposedly, and greatly raises defense for 1 turn. Now, I could be just reading it wrong and he doesn't actually stack, but based on how I'm reading the unit super, he does stack massively. You can only attain this unit super when your key is 18 or more, with a Majin Buu Saga category ally whose name includes Goku. Now, his passive is key +2, attack and defense 200. He gets an additional key +2 and attack plus 100% for 5 turns from his entry turn. So with the stacking capability, you won't even notice the attack missing after those 5 turns, but you will notice the key potentially gone for sure. Plus an additional attack and defense plus 10% each time key rises by 1 up to 180%. So basically what this means is it's a weird type of way that they're not actually saying it correctly. It's every, like, I think it's every freaking 18 key hit and above. So once you hit 18 key and then 24 key, that's technically 2 rises. So he actually does kind of go up progressively. It just takes a really long time for him to build that up. He guards all attacks and launches an additional super attack when key is 18 or more. And after all allies attacking in the same turn have obtained a key sphere, all allies defense plus 10% self-excluded per key sphere obtained by the character himself counting starts from the 18th key. So once again, very vague and weird way of wording everything here. But basically, after the entire rotation has collected key spheres, once the character has hit 18 key, you basically get like, what is it? You get 10% per key sphere after the 18th. So 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. So technically speaking, as long as you hit 24 key, he will be supporting by 60% defense. At least that's how I'm reading it currently. Plus an additional key +4 and attack and defense plus 59% when the name of an ally who is attacking in the same turn includes Goku. So as you can see, he already gets a massive increase of key, a good increase of attack and defense just for having Goku on the rotation. And then he gets another additional key +4 and attack and defense plus 59% when there's a Majin Buu Saga category ally named Goku on the attacking turn. So what this means is that 59, you know, you get a lot of key and a lot of attack and defense just for having a Goku Majin Buu Saga ally. The problem with this is that there is not very many runnable Goku Majin Buu Saga allies. He does have an active skill, which increases his key by 1 and attack plus 59% and defense by 78% for 1 turn. It can be activated when there is, well, you get it, when there's another Majin Buu Saga category ally whose name includes Goku, starting from the 3rd turn. As you can see, the majority of this guy's kit is literally trapped to having a Goku ally. If you do not have a Goku Majin Buu Saga ally, this dude has no kit, basically. He's okay, but honestly, his attack drops significantly. His defense drops to literally unsurvivable standards, past 2.5 million damage. And yeah, I'd say even past 2 million damage. I don't think he's surviving more than a 2 million super, even if he double, triple supered without a Goku Majin Buu Saga ally. I just don't see it happening. Especially if you have less than Rainbow or less than 2 dupes. His links are very unideal in my personal opinion. He has a Vegeta-style Super Saiyan link, so he has Super Saiyan Fierce Battle, Saiyan Warrior Race, and Golden Warrior, of course. But then he has Prodigies and Royal Lineage, which means his ideal partner lies within himself, not within a Goku. And as you can, I'm sure you know, if you run a Super Saiyan 3 Goku, every Super Saiyan 3 Goku is going to have Over in the Flash. What does this Vegeta have? He doesn't have Over in the Flash. And him being more of a slot 2 unit with not enough defense capability pre-super means that he's trapped to slot 2 or 3. So no matter what, unless you're floating this guy, Goku is being hurt by having to be forced as an ally for Vegeta. Mind you, it's not a lot. Like, you're not losing out on a crap ton of attack or defense or what have you. But you definitely are lacking in the key department a little bit more with all of these different Super Saiyan 3 Gokus. He's actually on quite a few categories. The only issue I see is that he doesn't have a lot of 200% shared areas where you can rock a Super Saiyan or just a Goku Majin Buu Saga ally. So he is lacking in that department. You know, I keep downtown talking this Vegeta, but in all honesty, like I said, he has a really high peak. But he also has a really low low, and his really low low stems from him not having a Majin Buu Saga Goku ally on the turn. If he doesn't have that, then he just isn't anything. And I just really have to emphasize that because there are some players that just love to chuck units onto a team. They're just like, chuck it on there, and he works. No, that's not how this Vegeta works. This Vegeta cannot be just chucked onto a Majin Buu Saga team. You have to pay attention to who's on the attacking rotation. You have to pay attention to what you're doing with him. So with that all being said, let's go over to his defense and attack calculations. Compliments of Rocket Lizard OP Luke. Appreciate you, dude. So, on turn 2, when you're linked up, when you have Super Saiyan 3 Majin Buu Saga Goku on the team, he can get his defense on post super at 1.1 million at Rainbow, double super, which is pretty much guaranteed as long as you hit 18 key. 1.5 million, and then if he magically triple supers based on his hit potential, he can get almost to 2 million defense. Keep in mind he has guard, so that's pretty dang good. And his damage is pretty decently high, I will say that. He does have a pretty good high amount of damage, being at first super being 32 million, and then a second super being 19, and on a third super, it looks like he didn't calculate that correctly, would be up to about 20 million. Yeah, he didn't calculate that correctly. Now, if you decide to rock the STR Super Saiyan 3 Goku that has a standby Dragon Fist, you can support Vegeta a little bit more defensively, and it actually increases his survivability tenfold. The only thing is that with this, you are going on a dodge or die situation with the Super Saiyan 3 Dragon Fist Goku, because that's what he is. He's a dodge or die unit, so you got to be very careful. And not to mention that his standby is temporary. It's not for the whole fight. It's only for, like, I think 2 appearances. Literally the first appearance when you use the standby, and the next time he comes back. After that, you won't be able to continue using the standby. So it's like 2 appearances minimum at most. But yeah. And that Goku's definitely not a slot 1 unit, which does make it kind of rough to use him. But on those rotations that you do utilize him, the defense buff can be very, very aggressive, especially once you use this Vegeta's active. As you can see, Vegeta using his active skill dramatically changes how much damage and defense he can have in that single turn. So I would highly suggest that you use Vegeta's active in a very specific point of a fight. It's either on the last phase and you're trying to kill the boss, or it's on a very pain in the butt phase that you want to get through quickly. Because I promise you, if this guy triple supers on almost any boss phase, he probably will kill, potentially. As long as he crits. But yeah, active skill with Dragon Fist Goku, first super attack, 55 million damage. The only other unit I have seen to hit remotely that amount is the EZA LR Tech Broly. Jiren can get up to around the 40 mil, and maybe if you really wank the crap out of him in an unrealistic scenario, you can probably get up to the 50. But this guy just casually will pump out a freaking 55 to 60 million freaking super attack, just like Tech Broly will. So that is very interesting to look at and see. Just his damage scaling. And his defense basically makes him unable to die post-super, because he has also access to guard. So with guard, even if he only double supers, he still has 3 million defense with guard. Yeah, he's tanking just about everything on active. On active, you have to understand that. And then, of course, you can even pump it even further beyond with the Tech UI domain and get his damage up to 63 million plus, and then his additional supers at 37. And then on his... Oh, that's right. He only... My bad earlier on that first one. This Vegeta does not raise attack on his additionals. Only his defense. But that increase to his defense does go very far. Considering with active, you can get that... those supers and defense up to 4.6 million defense with guard is crazy. Mind you, this is a very one-turn scenario kind of thing. You know, use the active, you have the support properly, and he's basically surviving whatever you want him to survive. But it's still a very unlikely scenario. But this is his peak right here. His peak is very high. You know what? I think let me pause real quick and go over to Halvard's calculations, where I might be able to give you a more average scenario of where he'll be at for the majority of the fight. All right, so we're here with Halvard's defense calculations, which within the first 5 turns, I think he miscalculated that, unfortunately, a little bit. But with the Busog ally and proper support, as long as you're getting 18 key super every single turn with a normal average amount of support, I'd say you can definitely be hitting 1.5 million defense. But the thing to keep in mind of this is a rainbow situation with the maximum amount of defensive links going off. So unless you have an extra amount of support, like off-turn rotation, or you have a domain going off, his defense might be lacking just a little bit, but not to the degree where he couldn't survive some of the hardest hitting fights in the game. I still think he's pretty safe. It's just that a triple super would dramatically increase his defensive capability. And I do feel like he does need that triple super a little bit. But this is a unit that has such a high level of damage that I don't think you can really ignore the fact that he doesn't have any built-in crit, and I think you just need to give him crit. If you don't give this unit crit, I feel like you're just really, really undermining the point and purpose of this unit. So, I apologize for grinding that out excessively. let's go ahead and get into his hidden potential, and then we'll go into his roll tips. So, with his hidden potential here on the right side of the screen, you'll see at his 55% build, I suggest just giving him crit. I mean, I really do. I once again return to my previous statement. If you don't give this guy crit, there's just almost no reason to even be using him. If you don't give him crit in 55%, then he's just doing damage. He's trying to do damage specifically. His damage will be so much lower, by the way. Like, he doesn't have attacks effective against all types. He doesn't have crit. Doesn't have any of that. So that means at 55%, the only time he's going to be doing any significant real damage that can pierce through defensive capabilities is going to be on type advantage, which would be against intelligence bosses. So I would really suggest trying to give him crit. 14% chance to crit is better than 0. So, and then as far as dupes go, I do have 2 suggestions for dupes. This one is my primary suggestion. This is the one I will potentially be rocking myself personally. Going for 15 crit and putting the rest into additional. He's a physical type unit, so of course he's going to have a level 5 additional already at the beginning. So 15 crit, and then the remainder will add up to 11 additional, which is a 22% chance to additional and a 30% chance to crit. As far as his orbs go, I would suggest giving him either a dual orb or an either or of crit or additional on his level 5 gold. That way you would raise his crit to 20 per level 20, which would give him a 40% chance to crit, and give him another silver crit, which would put him up to 25, which would give him a literal 50% chance to crit. And then I would actually suggest giving him an attack orb, because just like the EZA LR Tech Broly, this guy is meant to do damage. He's not meant to tank necessarily. He can tank surprisingly well, but he's not meant to tank. He's not meant to support. He's meant to do an absurd amount of damage and then leave the fight. That's what he's meant to do. But I understand that there are people that play the game differently than I do, and you know, based on what the kid it looks like. But I can definitely understand why some people would prefer to just, yes, he is a damage dealer, and to go for dodge. I understand that. I can totally understand that. I can understand the idea and thought process that they just want to get that 18, 24 key, 50 to 60 million damage in with the crit, and then to, you know, if the enemy magically survives, then, you know, maybe they'll have a chance to dodge. In that case, this is what I would suggest if you're really that worried about it. But personally speaking, I will be going for this build with the additional and the damage orb. This is more so a build choice right here for either absurdly future-proofing, in which case would probably defy the purpose of the unit a little bit, but at the same time, it might make him usable in certain scenarios that you normally wouldn't. But otherwise, with that being said, let's move on to the roll tips. I do believe that this Vegeta is a damage dealer. That is his primary focus. I don't think he's a defender. I don't think he's a support. He does support a little bit, which is good. And he does tank decently well, but he's not a slot 1 unit. And technically speaking, in slot 2, he's actually kind of hurting the major teams that he can be on. He feels more like you should be floating him off and just having him do damage once he comes back around. He seems more like a good damage dealer to add to the team that's kind of supporting a little bit. But otherwise, he is a slot 2 unit if you want to utilize him on the regular for his damage. And with that, I would honestly suggest these are being his only options. On the Super Saiyan Trio team, he does have options of some Gokus, and with at least 1 Goku on the team and a properly supported defense margin, and with certain characters that can be put onto the Super Saiyan Trio team that can increase damage and so forth, it does make up a little bit for the lack of a Majin Buu Saga Goku. But that is the only team I have found to actually be able to make up for the loss of part of his kit. Obviously, Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks can be a good 200% leader. You just really need to keep Goku with him at that point. And obviously, the Super Saiyan 3 Angel Goku would be a very excellent choice as a leader, as he needs him for part of his kit. With this, he has 2 Goku options, no matter how your starting rotation goes. As far as his partners go, other Vegetas will finish off his links. The Goku Vegeta Vegeto fusion is a good unit for Majin Buu Saga. It's just that once you transform into Vegeta, you lose the Goku part, so it does hurt this unit, technically. He is a Super Saiyan type-esque unit, so of course other Super Saiyan units like the Second Coming Gohan are going to link very well with him. And then you do have his original best link partner, which is no longer too viable in my personal opinion for a lot of content in the game as of right now. Which would be the 8th anniversary Z-Bomb duo. Potentially, I feel like you could potentially try and utilize them again if you really want to. But honestly, they're kind of past their prime, unfortunately. Because of how the game decided, its route it decided to go, because this unit has no damage reduction or guard or anything. He just has straight up stacking capabilities. The stacking is just, once again, not fast enough for how the speed and damage of the game's current bosses have gone. But he is technically the best link partner for this Vegeta. And then, of course, once again, other Super Saiyan 3 Gokus from Majin Buu Saga are technically the best options for this Vegeta. And once again, if I didn't say it before, his best slot position is in slot 2. He cannot tank even normals in slot 1. His pre-super defense is absolutely abysmal. It will get you killed. Otherwise, he can definitely be utilized as a slot 3 floating damage-dealing unit that partially supports, and I do think that is pretty much all there is to really say about this Vegeta. I do think this Vegeta is good. I have knocked him quite a bit in this video, but I do feel like he is a very good, solid damage-dealing unit. My issues with him is purely that he's trapped to a very specific set of units to be paired with and on teams, and he kind of hurts the synergy of those teams a little bit. But otherwise, he is a very good damage dealer. I think if I spend a little bit more time with him, I'll start to like him a lot more. But as of right now, he's just a really good damage-dealing unit for Majin Buu Saga. So, anyways, everyone, let me know how you decided to build this guy and what actual teams you have decided to use with him. And let me know how that goes. Thank you for watching. Have a good day and a good night.